comment, subscribe. Now, this is a simple video and it has been requested by many of you, so I'm going to go ahead and put it out there to understand the exaltation of the planets and to understand the degrees, exact degrees of exaltation. And I'll discuss with you how it works, exaltation, okay? So basically, when a planet is in exaltation, it can imbibe its archetype to the fullest. Of course, there are other things that we have to keep in mind. An exalted planet may not always function and give us benefits. Okay, we have to ascertain whether that particular planet in our kundli, in our natal chart, is an operational benefic or an operational malefic. Okay, and then we have to figure out that are we tuning in to the lower vibration of the exaltation, which could mean excesses of the archetype in all ways, surface excesses. Okay, uh, sometimes the exaltation, of course, works beautifully. For instance, Venus in Pisces may give you a very beautiful appearance, especially if it's on the ascendant, may give you a very dreamy outlook. But if that Venus is an operational malefic, then you may find yourself escaping into the world of drugs and alcohol. So an exalted planet does not always give stupendous or fantastic or fabulous results. For when they drag us down, the fall could be even harder because that is an exalted planet. Okay, so the sun is exalted in Aries. We know that. It is Aries is cardinal, and it is the domicile of Mars, the exaltation of the sun. 90 degrees of Aries is where the sun is most exalted. So you ask me, what if I have my sun in the first decan of Aries? Is my sun not exalted? Yes, it is. But if your sun happens to be exactly on that 19 degrees, then that means your sun wields that energy of exaltation. There are many other things, like I already explained at the beginning of the video. The 19 degrees of Aries is the exaltation of the sun. So what is the polarity of Aries? That is Libra. That means in 19 degrees of Libra, if you have your sun, that could be an extremely conflicted sun. Of course, in Hellenistic astrology, we have the via combusta idea, that from 15 degree of Libra to 15 degrees of Scorpio, everything is via combusta. So all the planets are burned out. And of course, on the 19th degree of Scorpio, we have the cursed degree of Serpentis. So for instance, if you have your sun, say in a day chart, in a night chart, on that, not on a day chart, night chart, and then 19 degrees of Libra, possibly it is a very conflicted sun. Okay, the sun is a sense of when we radiate our true potential, our true leadership skills, when we shine. Okay, but when we become a huge egomaniac or a gas giant, then we tend to swallow up life around us. But that's what happens to a red gas giant. Okay, but if we don't have that sun and that will to shine, then we become like a white dwarf. And we cannot sustain our very own solar system. So the sun at 19 degrees of Libra is really in a difficult position. Now we come to the moon. The moon is exalted in Taurus, 3 degrees of Taurus, right? So the moon is exalted in the domicile of Venus, right? Now, what happens if that moon is on that 3rd degree of Scorpio? That moon is in fall. That moon is afflicted, especially say if it's a day chart. right? So, does that mean that if, say, the moon is in 21 degrees, 19 degrees of Scorpio on the accursed degree, is that moon not in fall? Yes, that moon is in fall. So, also when you look at Scorpio and you see that the moon is in fall there, that means there's some problem with emotions in that particular sign. Emotional acceptance, emotional openness. Something is up with emotions. That's how exaltation also helps us understand and explore archetypes. So immediately with Taurus, we realize that emotions are quite solid. It's also a fixed sign, right? So 3 degrees of Taurus is the exaltation of the moon, right? Then we got to Mercury. Mercury is very interesting because it has Mercury is neither male female. It's eunuch in traditional Vedic astrology or hermaphrodite. So, Mercury is exalted in 15 degrees of Virgo. In fact, Mercury rules Virgo. Okay. So, Mercury being on that, I made a video actually, Exaltation of Mercury and the fixed star Purima. You should check that out. It's very interesting. How Mercury gets its analytical and cogitative skills from the fixed star Purima. Check that out. So 15 degrees of Virgo is the exaltation of Mercury. It is a sign, it rules. So if you have the Mercury at that particular degree, it's a very powerful Mercury. You are a very powerful thinker. Now, what happens if that Mercury is on that 15 degrees of Pisces? That means that Mercury is in fall position. That Mercury is not a logical thinker, not an analytical, linear thinker. That Mercury is full of imagination, fantasy, role playing. Okay? So, this is how you understand archetypes as well through exaltation. Yes. So, just because you have an exalted Venus doesn't mean that you will get the best benefits of Venus. For you have to ascertain whether that Venus is an operational benefic or an operational malefic in your chart. For if that Venus is an operational malefic, then that exalted Venus will give you even more difficult results. And the fall, the downfall, will be very difficult. Right? And we are right getting to Venus. Venus is exalted in 27 degrees of Pisces. Again, you have your Venus in the first decan, second decan of Pisces. Is that Venus not exalted? Yes, it is. However, on that 27 degrees of Pisces, Venus is most exalted. So, immediately, what is the polarity of Pisces? Virgo. That's the fall of Venus. So, in fact, this fourth term of Venus, where this, Venus is in fall in that 27th degree, is actually a very malefic term. And oftentimes, it is linked to, a low self-esteem, uh, abuse of different types, like maybe polymorphic disorders, even street prostitution, something like that. This is called the curse of Venus. That Venus on that 27 degrees of Virgo. Okay. However, if the Venus is in Virgo, the Venus is in fall position. But that 27 degrees of Virgo is a very special, difficult position for Venus. It's a very difficult term also for Venus. It's ruled by Venus actually. So here you see Venus in her malefic energetic vibration. And if Venus is malefic, nothing seems to go well. Like nothing. Okay. Now Mars. Mars is at 28 degrees. Exaltation is 28 degrees of Capricorn. Ruled by Saturn. Feminine. Interesting that exaltation of Mars is a feminine sign. Right? Capricorn is nocturnal. Mars is also nocturnal, does better in the night, in a night chart. So the 28 degrees of Capricorn, that Mars there is like a warrior. a strategist, a politician, maybe a general, could be a dictator if that Mars is an operational malefic. Now, polarity of Capricorn is Cancer. So at the 28 degrees of Cancer, Mars is extremely afflicted, right? When Mars cannot express his action oriented side because he seems to drown in the Cancerian depths. So Mars throughout Cancer is in fall position, but that 28 degrees carries that special burning of Mars energy. Mars activates through cutting and burning. And Cancer, 28 degrees of Cancer, and you have your Mars there, always problems with the family. Could even be painful experiences of accidents, especially in the stomach area, stomach pains. Then Mars in Cancer is a huge signifier of stomach pain and stomach problems. Okay. Now Jupiter is of course exalted in the very sign we are speaking about, Cancer. 15 degrees of Cancer is the exaltation of Jupiter. So of course we know that Jupiter is in fall position in Capricorn. That's where Jupiter was all of 2020 in the tropical chart, and that's where Jupiter is right now in the Vedic chart. Right? All throughout Capricorn, Jupiter is in a difficult position. But take that 15 degrees, that's when things really get whacked out. And we were just speaking about the fall position of Mercury. Mercury's just entered Pisces today, by the way, in fall position. So very soon it will go to that 15 degrees of Pisces. And that's when we can see this breakdown of, thought, of logical thought. So we also started the coronavirus journey, by the way, with that Mercury retrograde in Pisces. I'm forgetting the degree right now, just too much esoteric information in my head, but that's what started the coronavirus. So that Jupiter in 15 degrees of Cancer is like a true Sadguru, very powerful, especially if it's a day chart. Although Cancer is a nocturnal sign, the domicile of the moon. Okay. However, Jupiter is exalted in all of Cancer and is in fall in all of Capricorn, but keep a lookout for that 15 degrees, especially if you have your natal Jupiter there. It gives you something to think about, gives you something to meditate upon. When you look at Jupiterian archetypes, and if you have that Jupiter in that 15 degrees of Capricorn, how did it play out for you? Is it a day chart? Is it a night chart? What are the aspects? Is Jupiter with Saturn? However, Jupiter and Saturn actually in the Lal Kitab are pretty good yoga. I'll get to that in a separate video. I don't want to waste that information in this video because I will be making a ton of videos on Lal Kitab remedies. For that is one of my specialities, astral remedies. Now, we talk about, we talk about Saturn last. So Saturn is exalted 21 degrees of Libra, right? And of course, Saturn is in fall in Aries because it's the polarity of Libra. So that 21 degrees of Aries, if you have that Saturn, that can be a bit complicated. Okay, complications with the law, complications with health also possibly. So this is how you understand exaltation. Okay, like you look at Libra, it's a domicile of Venus. So you immediately understand that Saturn and Venus have a very close connection. I'm going to next live that I do right now in a few minutes. Once I cut this, there will be a video on Saturn and Venus and their conjunction that happened on 15th of February and how it's going to play out. They have many more conjunctions. Actually, till 2023, I'll cover because Venus goes retrograde, right? So this is how you understand exaltation. Just because you have an exalted planet does not mean you will fare amazingly in that particular house, in that particular archetype. It does not mean that. Okay. On the contrary, I have seen exalted planets uh, extremely polarized, extremely polarized, because the energy that is coming forth, the planetary ray that is coming forth, is also quite strong. So, how do you augur that energy? It's all well and fine to say I've got an exalted moon in Taurus, but you could honestly be overeating, you know, or you could be like so obsessed with the gym or your physical body that you could take anabolic steroids. Or another thing, eating disorders for sure, or even with money. You're so emotionally attached to security and to, Taurus is the archetype of the builder. So you're so emotionally connected to building things around you that you fall deep into materialism. So keep that in mind. However, modern astrology has done away with exalted planets. Many astrologers believe that exalted planets, don't discuss exaltation, don't discuss fall position, because clients get scared. But I think for the true aspirant, for the true seeker, to know about the problems brings the observer's paradox into question. So here you are observing something, and thereby you may change something. So this is what astrology teaches you: to use the planetary rays to identify the problem, work around it, work with it, embrace it. If you have a Jupiter in fall position, your ideology, for instance, about religion, about philosophy, higher truths may be very conflicted. You may be taught something by your parents, your grandparents, somewhere you can't accept it, right? And of course, we have that basic, higher education difficulties. Yes, of course, color is very important. Pranayam is very important. Mantra sadhana is very important. Any form of ritual that you may want to do to train your mind is very important. Okay, because I will be, now that very interesting you spoke about colors, for I have another live I will do today explaining to you the different metals of the planets and the different colors, and how they subvert one another, how they echo one another's energy. So don't miss that live. I'm gonna make a lot of videos now. So don't miss that live about colors, metals. And this is from the paradigm of Vedic astrology that I will be making about colors and metals. So if you understand only Hellenistic or modern tropical astrology, you may be confused. But fret not, this is an ancient system and it's tried and tested. So join me for the next live where I think I'll do the colors thing first, because I want to do that first. It's just really interesting. And then I will be talking about the next video that I will make. I will talk about Venus and Saturn. There's just something really interesting to tell you guys. And then I want to make another video on Uchishta Ganpati, which I've already made a video on him. But there's just so much, as I have embarked on a 21-day special sadhana, I am getting a lot of revelations from Uchishta Ganpati, and I wanted to share that with you. So coming up shortly, 3, 4 more live shows. Please stay tuned and come back for more.